beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and in today's video, I'm getting ready for something really fun. I went to Raleigh to meet up with some friends, and one of those friends is someone who also loves makeup. So I knew I wanted to have a little bit of fun with my eyeshadow. And I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I hang out with a fellow makeup lover, I do find that I tend to go harder with my looks in general. Definitely just more coverage than usual, maybe a little bit more color or glow or like a fun pop of color. Also, I've been really interested in focusing on just using my favorite things right now instead of feeling compelled to always be trying to use new products and videos all the time, even though those types of videos honestly tend to perform a lot better YouTube algorithm wise. I really just don't feel like I want to be showing new stuff all the time right now. I don't know. I've just been enjoying showing you my day-to-day makeup use in a more casual, get ready with me type of content like this lately. So I'm going to use a bunch of not new stuff and tell you why I continue to like it and use it over and over again. But before I ramble about makeup stuff, I just want to do my usual checklist items. First of all, I always try to start this type of video with a look at my skin with no makeup, no filter. I mean, I am still using lighting for filming just to make my video look good and look watchable. Obviously, good lighting makes a difference as to how your skin looks, but it's more just I'm trying to enhance the viewer experience and I try to make my videos look as true to life as I possibly can. You see so much filtered skin content. The vast majority of human faces that you see when you're on the internet are going to be altered, filtered, blurred, something like that. I tried to find more specific information about this so that I could get real numbers. I didn't really find anything. I just sort of clicked around and did a little searching. I wasn't deep diving into the internet or anything. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if that number was like 90% of more human faces that we see online are being, smoothed, reshaped, altered in some way. If you do know of a credible resource of information, I would really love to see it. And just an FYI, if you want to share something like that, I do have my comments set to filter out any comments with links, like to be held, to be checked, and they have to be manually approved. I do this just as a safety feature. Bad actors will try to comment things with links, and I just want to keep people away from clicking scammy stuff on my channel. But I'll go through and look at the held comments to vet any comments with links because I am deeply interested in this subject. And I want to reiterate it is okay for any or all of us to do that. My point with this discussion is not to vilify filtering, especially not down to the individual level. I have, and I certainly will again, post my own edited pictures to the internet. But I do think there's value in balancing out that ratio of unaltered skin content for anyone who does see this. I have redness and crinkles and spots, and I've always had this really visible vein under my left eye that you see me covering right now. And it's normal to have those things. There's a lot of content on the internet that tries to convince all of us that this type of stuff is not okay, and I'm just submitting my respectful disagreement with that. Now, my second soapbox item before we are fully done with skin and I'm still soapboxing, please wear SPF. Let's just keep that UV exposure under control. I always end my videos by saying that I love your face, and one of the best things you can do for that face that I love so dearly is to put sunscreen on it, no matter if you're wearing makeup or not. I'm really hooked on the IT Cosmetics Hello Sunshine SPF that you saw me put on at the beginning of this video because it wears incredibly well under my makeup and it feels so hydrating. I have dry skin, and an SPF that also doubles as hydration, as a great daytime moisturizer, is just it for me. So I like wearing this under makeup and on its own as well. I'm actually about to film a big empties video, and there's at least one tube of that SPF in there. And I'm on the brink of finishing a second tube of that. I think that I might finish a Salt New York Best Case Concealer pan by the end of the year as well. These are products that I have multiples working at a time because I use them so much. And I really think that that's saying something. It has been at least a month since I used a Super Shock highlighter or Super Shock blush for that matter. So I had to right this wrong. I'm using the shade Lunch Money, and I'm gonna list all of the shades of these individual items, even my complexion shades, my blush, lip color, all of that stuff will be listed in the description box. I'm usually pretty good about remembering to do that. And I'll also try to list which brushes I'm using. Although, if you've seen many of my Get Ready With Me videos, I do have some favorites that I tend to use over and over again. So I also have a favorite brushes video if you are interested in which ones I love the most and why. I will try my best to remember to link that in the description because I think that's a great resource if we're talking about things that have stood the test of time in my collection. Some of my favorite brushes have definitely been my favorites for a really long time as well. Now, I don't know about where you live, but where I live, it is very hot, very humid. And if I am going out and about, especially I'm driving to another city today, I'm gonna need this makeup to hold up to the elements, specifically summer humidity. So I am layering a lot of cream product bases and then setting them down with a powder product. So here I'm adding a layer of powder blush where I had previously applied some of that Kaja Dewy Bar cream blush. And I'm also going to do the same sort of layering technique on my eyelids as well. But before we zoom in for the eye makeup, I was so proud of myself for actually capturing my lip application on camera. I am notoriously bad about leaning progressively closer and closer to my mirror and completely cutting my lower half of my frame off and not capturing the actual application of my lip color. So, I've only been doing this for 10 years and I actually managed to capture my lip application today. I'm not going to do too much for brows. I'm really a fan of just letting my natural brows take the lead. So I'm doing just a quick little fill in with a brow pencil to even out some of the sparse areas in my brows. And then I'm really going to go in with this brow lamination gel. This has a really good hold. So I like to apply that pretty generously across my brow and then use this little angled spoolie brush to squish everything down into place. And I still do get some little stray brows popping up now and then, especially because, like I said, it is a sweat prone time for me. But this does a pretty darn good job of controlling my unruly brow hairs. So, I'm a big fan. This method has been working for me for a while. This one and the NYX Brow Glue are my go-to brow gels right now. And I have also semi-recently changed my go-to eyeshadow base. For the longest time, I always used the Ulta matte eyeshadow base, but so many of my friends were raving about this one. My YouTube beauty friends were telling me that this was their favorite and that I needed to try it. So I tried it, and guess what? Surprise, they were right. So I really enjoy this. The format is so easy and it does a great job of covering over and evening out my lids so that I have a nice base to start working on, a nice primed canvas. Today I'm using the Nomad Berlin Underground palette and I want to do a mostly warm neutral look with a pop of color. I was just sort of going off of that as my plan. I hadn't really decided what I wanted to do, but I was wearing these black and brown checkerboard pants, and I knew that I wanted to do a really warm neutral eye as a play off of my pants that I was wearing, but I couldn't just go all neutral. Like I said, I was meeting up with a makeup loving friend, so I knew I needed to add a little bit of extra pop of color. So I ended up going for the really bright matte yellow that's in this palette. I'm getting ahead of myself though. First, I just started layering up some of these warm neutral matte shades and just adding more depth to the outer part of my eyelid. I was really just going back and forth between these two matte colors and layering them, sandwiching that color so that it blends really seamlessly. At least that's the intention. And then I'm gonna use an eyeshadow stick. The one that I chose is from NARS. It's called Hustle. And I just put that really all over my lid space. I'm using that layering method again to try to extend the longevity of the finish on my lids. When I am sweating, one of the first things that goes for me is my eyeshadow starts to crease and disappear. So I've been very into eyeshadow sticks lately. This is a new preference for me. I haven't historically been a big eyeshadow stick lover, but it's just working for me right now. Layering a mixture of two shades from the Berlin Underground palette on top of that eyeshadow pencil to get just the right shade that I was looking for. I didn't want it to be too reddish, I didn't want it to be too bronzy, but the combination of the two, especially with that NARS pencil, is just the toasty color I'm looking for. I've always been a big fan of layering and mixing eyeshadows from a palette together. I feel like it gives my palette a whole new life sometimes, and I can usually create the exact shade that I want. As I mentioned, I wanted a pop of color, so I decided to just add this bright matte mustardy. It's in between a mustard and a primary yellow. It's just a nice, bold, impactful color. So I'm adding that to the inner corner to just give it a little interest, give a little pizzazz to this eyeshadow look. And then I decided to use the yellow golden color from the palette. It's actually a hilarious shade name. It's called Poor But Sexy, which I'm sure has some Berlin significance. I don't know what it is, but I love it. So I used that yellow gold shade to sort of blend the yellow on the lower lid into that warm toasty color down there. Then I curled my lashes and added my L'Oreal Paradise Big Deal mascara, and that's my finished look. I know that it's not so crazy and technical and creative and amazing, and it's almost entirely not new stuff either. But I really loved my makeup this day. It held up well to my travels, and I thought it was cute and fun. Oh, while I was doing this tutorial, I thought if you don't have this Berlin Underground palette, you could definitely do this same type of look with the Fighter palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. That has some really similar shades in there. So, if you're interested in recreating this type of look and you don't have the Berlin palette, see if you have Fighter in your collection. That's another one I really love, and you could recreate with that one. Anyway, I hope that you had fun. I had fun hanging out with you and getting ready with you. And never forget that no matter what you're wearing on your face, I absolutely love that darn thing. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you and I love your cute little face, and I'll see you real soon in my next one. Bye!